Okay, in this video, we are going over the 7.2 notes part 1. We're building off of what you all learned last week on your hypothesis testing for the mean. And so to use a p-value, our probability value, to make a conclusion in a hypothesis test, compare the probability value with A. And A represents our significance level. Sorry, I'm filming this on my phone. Also, this is Mrs. Marr, by the way. I'm your long-term sub while Miss Reed is out. So I'll be your teacher for the rest of the year. A represents our significance level. If our probability is less than our significance level, then we reject our hypothesis, our null hypothesis. If our probability is greater than, then we failed to reject our hypothesis. So what this means is if our probability is less than our significance level, this means that it is so low that it will be null, so that we would reject our assumption. So we would reject our assumption if our probability is less than our significance level. If our probability is greater, then we would not. We would accept what we have predicted, that it's probably true. Okay, let's look at this example. If the probability value for the hypothesis test is, so they provide us with our probability, 0.0347. What is your decision if the level of significance is? So we have two examples here we're working with, two problems we're solving. So the first one, 0.0347, is in fact greater than 0.01, which is our significance level. So therefore, we would fail to reject our null hypothesis, meaning that our assumptions are fine, meaning that our predictions are okay. Okay? Now over here, we have 0.05, and 0.0347 is in fact less than 0.05. And so we would reject our null hypothesis. So it would most likely not happen. Okay, after determining the hypothesis test standardized test statistic and the test statistics corresponding area, do one of the following to find the p-value. Okay, so sometimes you'll have a question where it will tell you specifically for a left-tailed, right-tailed, or two-tailed. You're going to want to use your z-score for this, which I've attached a z-chart on It's Learning if you do not have yours. So for a left-tailed test, we have our area in left tail. So our alternate hypothesis has to be less than. So really, you can just look this up on your chart and see if it would be left-tailed, right-tailed. For right-tailed, our alternate hypothesis would be greater than, and we would write it out as 1 minus blank. And we'll see. We'll do some examples down here that will explain how we write that. For two-tailed, first, we do it based on the location of the z-score. So we look where our probability falls on the z-score. And then we would multiply that by 2. Okay? That's when it is not equal to our alternate hypothesis. So I hope this is making sense. If you have questions, please feel free to ask me. So example number 2. Find the p-value for a left-tailed hypothesis with a test statistic of z equals negative 1.71. Decide whether to reject our null hypothesis if the level of significance is. Okay, so we know z is negative 1.7. Let's look it up on the chart. And what we get, if we look it up on our chart, is 0.0436. Then if we compare that to 0.05, it is less than 0.05. And I drew kind of a curve where it would fall. So it'd be left-tailed. Because it is less than, and we got that by using our chart, then we would reject our null hypothesis. Example number 3. So now we're doing a two-tailed hypothesis with a test statistic of z equals 1.64. Decide whether to reject the null hypothesis if the level of significance is. All right, so we know that z equals 1.64. We looked that up on z-score, and I got 0.9495. Now, because it is right-tailed, if you notice up here, right-tailed, we have to subtract 1 minus that number. So I do 1 minus the number I got on my z-score. It equals this number right here. It gives me this gives me the shaded value. This gives me the shaded region over here. So now, because it's asking me for a two-tailed hypothesis, so I'm going to multiply this number by 2, and I get 0.1010. Now, I put it up to the test. Is my probability less than my significance, which A equals 0.1? And in fact, it is greater than, which means we failed to reject the null hypothesis. I hope that I know I kind of flew through these notes. If you would like to print them out and take notes on your own, along with this video, please do so. Feel free to email me. Even though I'm not Mrs. Reed, I am Mrs. Marr, but you still can email me through Mrs. Reed's email. That's the easiest way to get to me. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.